Chad Watson, Hat High, boys basketball. What's going on? How are you?
Hey
Can
Kim,
you hear
how's it
me
going?
okay? Good. I can hear
Yeah,
you.
can you
If
hear
you can
me?
hear me, yep, loud and clear. We're good. It
Awesome.
looks like you're still at work. I thought work ended like 5 hours ago.
Yeah, I pretty much live here. I was over at AMS doing junior high volleyball. It's my new adventure this year, so I'm coaching the A team at AMS.
Uh, uh, our Wi-Fi is a little sketchy here. Our,
Kim, how's that?
it's not good. It's
Any
not
better?
good. Uh, no, it's not great. It's
Oh,
not good. I'll give you a chance to figure it out here.
all right.
How
Let me
far
just.
away are you from the router?
How's that? Is that any better?
A little bit. I think it's better. You're not breaking up anyway. I can hear you, but it's quite fuzzy. But it's okay.
Okay.
Nobody needs to see our ugly faces anyway, right? They just need to hear us.
I like it. I like it.
All right. So, Chad, as an educator, what is life like these days? Here we are. We're a couple of weeks into school. Talk a little bit about what your work life is like these days, because I'd imagine it's a lot different than anything you've ever experienced.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's not. I mean, we've gone to the quarter system. That's a lot of work now, like I'm exhausted. I think every teacher will tell you they're extremely exhausted by end of the day because I mean, you're going for 2.5 hours with no break. We have to sanitize everything in our gym after we're done. So as soon as you're going pretty hard from, usually about 8 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock. Kids have been awesome. They're wearing their masks. They've been trying to work with us. It's been a good vibe around our building, so it's been really nice that way. But I mean, for the most part, I mean, COVID is just something that we have to handle, right? And I think everyone's doing an excellent job with it.
Um, how how are we supporting the kids? I guess is my question, because I'll share with you what happened on a Thursday. My boy comes home and he's got a sniffle and he's got a headache and he's got a cough, and instantly we make the appointment to get a test. Couldn't get it done for 3 days,
Yeah.
and then had to wait another 4 days to get the results. And so he's isolating and he's rarely coming out of the room and whatnot. And I mean, he did get the negative results back last night, but I would imagine that if we do this for every sniffle and for every headache and for every cough, it is going to take a big toll on a lot of these kids.
Yeah, you know what? It's really unfortunate that
Ah, did
way.
we lose him?
Oh, did you lose
Okay.
me again? Am I good?
No, I'm here. I'm here. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. It's really unfortunate how everything's kind of, in regards to that. But for the most part, I mean, all our teachers are teaching online as well. So students have a choice to either do it, in person or online. So our teachers are going out of their way to make sure that, every kid is supported during this time. I mean, we're really worried about the mental health parts and the socialization part. I mean, there was kids that went from March until September without seeing anybody. Their parents kept them away from people, and they showed up, and they were anxious. But I mean, I think for the most part, we're trying our best for what we've been given.
Mhm. Awesome. That's awesome. Okay, we'll get to a hat high in just a bit here. Um, Tell us a little bit about your background, starting with your hometown and what life was like for you as a kid growing up.
So I'm an American. I graduated in 1999. I grew up in Havre, but I went to school about 28 miles west of Havre in a town called Guilford. Our school was called KG. We were a little school, and we had 17 kids in my.
Now, I wanted to get to this question a little later on here, but you brought it up now. Any kid growing up in Montana with any skill level whatsoever, you want to go play for the Grizz or the Cats? How did the decision to come to Canada even come into play? Because one wouldn't have really thought that that would even be a goal, you know?
You know, so my parents owned a motel in Havre there, and so we knew a lot of Canadians. My parents were part of a car club, and we used to come up every Labor Day weekend and actually camp in Elkwater. And so like I had a connection to Canada, long before I even came up here. As for the Grizz or the Cat question, I have a lot of Grizzly friends. I don't have a whole lot of Cat friends. I can't remember, like my parents, and that's the crappy part about COVID is, my parents are 2 hours from me,
Yeah.
but I can't see them. And so that's been really unfortunate. We're a super close family. And so they were up here when we were driving to Lethbridge 4 zones when they shut down basketball, and they left the next day. And I haven't seen them since, right?
Hmm.
But if I remember correctly, I think my mom might have been a Montana State fan. My dad was more of a Grizzly fan, and I think they both kind of settled on the Grizzlies. But they're pro Montana. Like they'll cheer for the Bobcats if they're doing well. If the Grizzlies are out. But I think for the most part, we follow the Grizzlies.
Okay. So now you were quite skilled at basketball. Were you ever recruited by any of those teams? Because I'd imagine that, if you had a chance to play for them or go to,
Yeah.
Eastern or Idaho, you would have jumped at that opportunity. It just didn't present itself.
No, you know what? I was a tweener. Like I had an unbelievable high school career, and I had a great college career. But I was too slow to be a guard, and I was too small to be a post. And so, you have to realize what your potential level is, and follow. Basketball was important to me, and I wanted to play. And that means if I had to leave, my country to go play, I would have done it, and I did do it, and it was probably the best decision of my life.
Exactly. Um, sorry, my dog's freaking out here. There's some geese that flew overhead.
I heard
Uh,
that. I heard that.
so, I mean, Montana is such a great place to be from, and in some ways it is similar to Alberta, but in other ways it is quite different. Do you consider yourself a proud Montanan now, or are you a Canadian now? What's your status there?
It's I always bug people and people always bug me. I'm Canadian unless it comes to sporting events, then I'm still red, white, and blue. I'll never forget in the Olympics when US and Canada were in the final. Earlier on, US beat Canada in the round robin play. And I was, I don't know, I don't follow hockey, but I was bugging everybody how Americans were taking over the sport. And then, when I think it was Crosby came back and scored the winning goal in the finals, my phone about blew up because all my friends had to get back at me. Once again, uh, I was never a Raptors fan. The last few years, I've become a Raptors fan because of Lowry, because of Nick Nurse, guys like that. I've really enjoyed, watching the Raptors play basketball. But I cheer for any Canadian that makes it, into any sport. I follow sports a lot. So I'm a pretty passionate, and proud Canadian, but also, you got roots, and so I still cheer for the U.S.
That's awesome. What was medicine at college like? You were here 99 to '03, I guess was the time frame that you're in. What was medicine at college like academically and sporting wise during that era?
Well, it's unfortunate. When I went through there was no education department. You had to leave, and
Mm.
so I ended up going to University of Lethbridge after medicine at college. If I could have played, all 4 years at the time, because it was only 4 years for eligibility, I would have stayed. When they got that fifth year for college, I would have loved to be here. I had, my best friend. Scott Coulthard, a former Rattler, like he was able to finish off his career, his 4 years here. I was always a little bit jealous of that. For basketball wise, I really do believe, it's weird because Dan Van Horn, who's the UFC coach, he's the one who brought me to Canada, and he's went
Mhm.
on to to UFC and won a national championship, and he's, has a great career. And I bet you a lot of people don't even know that one of the best basketball coaches in the country was at Medicine Hat College at one point. And then to follow that up, we had Mike Conley, who went to U of L when he was done, and now he's at Grant McEwen. We had back-to-back amazing coaches in this program, and so the coaching was there. The players were a little bit different. Like, I look at some of the guys that are brought in now, and they are skilled. They're athletic. We didn't look like that, right? But what we had a rare combination of players, such as Rich Humphrey, Scott Coulthard, a guy named Matt Gottslig, who lives in Swift Current now. We had all these guys who were really mostly like second fiddle kind of guys, in high school. And you put us you put all of us together, and we just outworked everybody. And we had great success. We finished, bronze 3 years in a row, which by my third bronze medal, I was sick of it. But we did some amazing things, and we got 2 coaches on to the to university levels, and this group that I'm talking about, well, we're still fairly tight. It's really weird. There's a lot of coaches that came out of that group, such as Coach Humphrey, myself, and a lot of the guys that came from that group are just great people. And I think that's been the one of my favorite memories of being a Rattler.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what were the road trips like, and where were some of your favorite places to play in the ACAC?
SAIT was always fun. SAIT and Mount Royal were kind of like the top dogs in the South. Lethbridge College and us, we were like the little brothers trying to knock on their doors, and try and rival those guys. Great memories like SAIT. We had some great battles. Lethbridge College, like us and them, we battle. Like, that was 40 minutes of hell, pretty much. Like, you're walking out of games and you're trying to put ice packs everywhere. Their coach, Craig Anderson, was a hard-nosed coach who their guys, you knew when you're playing Lethbridge College, it was going to be a battle. Any time we got away, it was a lot of fun. Probably one of my best memories, back then is, for playoffs, you always had the South had to go to the North, or the North would have to come to the South. And my first year and second year, we were the lower ranked team, so we had to travel. And both years we knocked off, I think Grant McEwen was number 4 in the nation, and we knocked them out of playoffs. And they were hosting that year, so they had to watch it instead of playing it. And then we had the next year we went up to Nate, and they were like number 3 in the nation, and we knocked them out of playoffs. So we had great back-to-back year playoff runs. And then the third year we were the top dog, and then we got knocked out. So that kind of sucked, but it is what it is, right?
Exactly. Now, after Medicine Hat College, you ended up going, and correct me if I'm wrong, you ended up going to Lethbridge. Did you play for the Horns, or did you get straight into assistant coach there?
No, I got straight into assistant coach, and I got into the ed program.
Okay.
Originally, I was supposed to go back down to Havre and play down there, and I got injured in kind of a freak kind of exhibition game. And then, my heart was in Medicine Hat. It wasn't in Havre. So I decided to come back after my third year at Christmas time, and I finished up playing that year. And then from there, honestly, I kind of got out of shape. And, the athletes, at the college level, it's a full-time job. And I don't think that's people giving them enough credit. Like, in order to be successful with your schooling and the training, you have to balance your schedule out. And honestly, I didn't. I don't want to say I lost passion for the game, but I was in the ed program, which I felt was a pretty big honor. A kid from Havre going to one of the best universities for education. So I really wanted to focus on my studies, and I stayed kind of passionate on that. And coaching was my new passion. And Conley took me with him to U of L. And from there, I was able to be an assistant coach, and then I coached the U16 provincial team. I think I was 21, 22, coaching a provincial team. So it was quite an honor. I got into the coaching at an early age, and it really paid off.
Yeah. Let's move on now to what's going on at Hat High these days. You know, all you have to do is go to a basketball game at Hat High, and you really get the feeling that there's something special going on there with the basketball program. How proud of you are how proud of you are with the basketball program there, because it's a great place to watch a game. It's a lot of fun, and you could tell there's just a lot of pride in the program.
Yeah, I think everything really kind of starts with, my boss, Boris Griznich. He created, Hat High for basketball, and I came into a great system. I took over for Brent Ennis. Brent Ennis just came off three straight zone titles. He had a lot of success, and then I had to fill those shoes. And the first few years, I don't know if I filled them quite, enough that because we had to rebuild, and
Hmm.
so we struggled a lot, and actually Coach Humphrey from the college, him and I think that the first few years took a few years of our life away. We were stressed. We're both competitors, and we'd have guys going in for wide open layups and dribbling off their shoe. We'd always sit there and say, why would we make that, when we needed it? And,
Hmm.
but I think the years that I've lost were the years that I learned to become a great coach.
Hmm.
Those are the years that you have to really, expand your game. And now 13 years later, we've been probably a top 10 program, in Alberta for the last, 5, 6 years since 2000 or since 2014. We're always up there. We go to the best tournaments. We're playing against the best competition. We're winning. And Medicine Hat's not a basketball community, but we're really pushing it. And there's
Yeah.
some great basketball here.
Now, up until now, I've only asked you softball questions. I've got a zinger headed your way right now, and I'm just
Okay.
going to read it. I'm going to read it off my screen here because I want to make sure that I read it perfectly to you.
Okay.
I have to ask you about the name change.
Yeah.
I know that you took a ton of pride in the name, the colors, the logo, the jersey, and you ingrained that into your players. How do you feel now about players that are a little bit sad about that lost identity?
You know, I don't know if it's a lost identity. Like, I don't, for years, the only time I ever used the Mohawks name was at the end of a huddle during a timeout. He'd go 1, 2, 3 Mohawks, right?
Hmm.
I never told my kids to play like a Mohawk because, to be truthful, I didn't know what a Mohawk was. Like, I didn't, they weren't from our area. And, I think the way that we represented the name, we're super proud of how we represented the Mohawk name.
Hmm.
But as times change. So do people, so do schools, so does your culture. And I believe that now is the time to make a change and let's move forward. Like, there's no point thinking back. I mean, we used to be called the Redskins, and I bet less than 1% of the population actually knew that we were called the Redskins at one point.
Wait, Hat High basketball was called the Redskins?
Yeah, yeah, and I believe our girls were named the co-eds, and
I had
so
no idea.
yeah, so
Wow.
this is late '60s. We
Yeah.
were called. So now what I would like to do is make sure we keep our culture, like and keep our heritage from these names because I believe that we did use them in such a proud way. But you know what? When we go to Raymond, people don't sit there and say, we're playing the Mohawks. They say that we're playing Medicine Hats, and
Hmm.
a few years ago I started to make some changes, like, our jerseys say the hat on them,
Yep.
or Hat High. And so we just started making some changes here and there. And then eventually I think it was, like, I associate with the green M way
Hmm.
more than I ever did the Mohawk head. I switched to that probably 6, 7 years ago, and I really love the Green M. And as long as we were able to keep the Green M, that's what was truly important to me.
So, what is happening with the center court of the old gym? It's on display there. Is that going to remain there as some kind of reminder of the history of the program, or what? Or is it down by now? I don't even know.
No, 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 no. You know what? Like, it is our history. We can't deny it. And we reached out, and a lot of people don't know how the conversations went down, and I don't really want to get into that part. But we reached out to some members from Ontario of the Mohawk tribe, and they were very honored, and they worked with us, and they wrote some great emails to us. But in reality, when it came down to it, it was really a European name given to their tribe, and it wasn't.
Hmm.
They didn't call themselves the Mohawks, and so when it comes to that logo, well, now it's the time to actually educate people of like their real name, not the name that Europeans gave them, but of the actual name. And so we'll put up a little bit of history above that name, and explain how high was called the Mohawks, and we'll try and educate as many people as possible.
I like it. I like it. We got Chad Watson joining us right now. He's the coach of the Hat High basketball team. And what is happening with the name? Have they set like a timeline, or is there a contest, or what do we know about that?
Well, right now our teachers are extremely busy, and
Yeah.
so, this is something that we'll get to it, eventually, and we have to set up some committees, and I've met with Boris Grisnich, our principal, and Scott Howes, who's been our athletic director of the last few years. I've recently just taken on that position from Scott, and so the three of us are talking lots about it. But I mean, as of right now, we've had some people come up with some great names,
Hmm.
but when it comes time to get organized and ready to go, I imagine we'll probably be in 2021. Let's just try and get out of 2020 right now. We seem to
That's
be
right.
struggling with that one. And when 2021 comes around, we'll start putting things together.
Good, good, good. So, what is happening now with high school basketball during COVID? Is the team coming together? Are they practicing, or is everything on hold right now? What is going on?
So we're not a technically, like, we're not allowed to practice until November 1st, right? So it's
Okay.
volleyball, football, cross country season. So most of our kids, even though we're a big school, most of our kids are dual athletes. Like, they play two sports, which is awesome. And so they're all really busy right now. Um, as of with the new rules and everything else, we're allowed to do some competition. So we're allowed to travel in our south zone. Right now, they're not going to let us have indoor spectators. On Friday, Crescent Heights plays High. We're allowed to have 200 spectators outside because of the air quality and things like that. But
Yep.
inside, we're not allowed yet. There will be a season. I don't know if there'll be a provincial championship. ASAA is looking at like pushing back, and they're trying to find some stuff. And in reality, is we just got to wait to hear what our government's saying, and what our governing body of athletics, ASAA's, what they want to do. But eventually, we'll figure out what it's going to look like.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, Chad, we got to wind it down here. We always do a show and tell segment. Now, I realize you're at work and you might not necessarily have much around you, but is there anything I assume you're in the classroom right now, or where are you at?
No,
Are
I'm
you in
I'm
your
in
office?
our phys ed office. Yeah, yeah.
All right, show us something in there that you'd consider kind of a show and tell item. Maybe it's something about Hat High basketball history that you might be proud of. Is there anything in there at all?
Well, I have we won zones in 2014. I have a basketball, but kind of one thing that I always coach with my grade 11 year. We got a little, we won state, like I already mentioned, and so I
Yep.
have a little basketball that I usually, I'd probably say 90% of the games I've coached in, it's around my neck. It's kind of like my good luck charm, and so I keep it with me, and have it around for good luck.
Awesome. That's so good. That's so good. All right, Chad. Hey, thanks so much for doing this. On behalf of Rattler Nation, thank you for getting us reacquainted and bringing us up to speed on where you're at these days. I would encourage everyone that when this is all said and done, go and check out a game or two at Hat High. It's an entertaining atmosphere. It's a lot of fun, and you're doing a great job. All the best to you and the rest of the staff there in keeping our young people engaged and safe. And after the past few months, I know there was a lot of smiles and happy faces just to get back in that building. And so good on you for all that you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take
All
care.
right.
There he goes. Chad Watson
Have a
joining
good
us right
one.
now. Take care. All right, boy, it sure got dark in a hurry here, didn't it? All right, thanks for hanging out here tonight, guys. I think that is it for the week. We're going to post this on YouTube. Feel free to share it and distribute it. You know what? I thought he had a great answer when it comes to the history of the name. Mohawks and the decision to change it, and what is in the future for the name, and just for kind of the overall thoughts on what they're going to do moving forward with the program. So again, on behalf of Chad, thank you for watching. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week. We've got a full slate of guests right here. And if you're a Rattler alumni, we forgot to ask him. Chad, if you're watching right now, in fact, I'll send him a text here. I need you to recommend an up and coming alumni or a current student athlete that would be great at the Rattler vlog. All right. So anyways, we'll get that later on from you. On behalf of Chad, have a great night. We'll see you soon. This has been Rattler Vlog, episode 53.